Ooh, 10 cards rated day 243. I'm just hanging out, chilling with a DV. Let's look at some cards. Stampeding Scurryfoot is up first from Ether Drift today. Welcome, everyone. How's your Tuesday morning? Stampeding Scurryfoot is a single green mana for a 1/1 mouse with exhaust. You can pay 3 and a green to put a +1/+1 counter on this guy, and you get a 3/3 green elephant creature token. But, of course, you can only exhaust a creature one time, unless you blink it. Or you bounce it, or something like that. This is still just a drafty card, though. A 1 mana, 1/1 mouse, I guess. Maybe there's something to be said for that, but probably not really. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to give this like a solid 2.6, though. You know? We've seen worse cards here on the series. Why not, man? Make a 3/3 for you. Ooh, Vidian Zealot, man. Jesse, Fish, if you're watching this, I have still got your Vidian Zealot that you drew the speech bubble. Like my buddy Jesse drew a ring on the Vidian Zealot right here on this finger. And then a speech bubble that's like, behold, I am engaged. And it's like, it's actually really funny. And every time I'm going through my green commander stuff, I see it. And I think it's Jesse. So if you want your card, I've got that. I've got your wildfire somewhere that the guy's saying like, oh, Nutter Butters. You know, I've got Jesse modified a lot of cards with speech bubbles, and they're all really funny, but I have them. So it's been like what, 15 years. Like, please come get your cards. I say this. It's sunny. Come get your cards. I've got your signed Grinning Demon. Like, where you came to my wedding and you won't come get your Magic cards. I don't understand. But anyway, Vidian Zealot is 2 green mana for a 2/1 elf warrior. You can pay 1 and a green and sacrifice the Zealot to destroy target artifact or enchantment. This used to be good little Magic card. You know, I guess we've got like Reclamation Sage nowadays, but back in the day, this was fine. We went with this. You know, this is a Commander card. See, Commander 2015, Commander Anthology. People played it in Elves specifically. You know, I'm gonna give this guy the honorary 5. I'm gonna do it. I think that we've got like better options and stuff, but this dude deserves a little bit of love because if you were a Magic player in like this time period, especially when Darksteel came out and like Zealot was actually kind of a popular sideboard or even main deck option in some decks. If you remember Mirrodin Block, Elves actually kind of tried to slide in a little bit there towards the end. Along with there's a lot of other stuff that tried to make headway, but Vidian Zealot and a couple of other cards, you know, there was the 3 mana, 2 and a green, Shaman that came into play and busted an artifact. That was also really important in Mirrodin Block. So those are main deck playable. And this would sneak in for the same reason. So it meant a lot in competitive, and it meant a lot in Commander for a time. So love you, bud. But honorary 5. I'm glad you're engaged. But anyway, Aragorn, Company Leader, is up next. What are you supposed to like look like? What's the normal Magic card version of this look like? Cool. Okay, so 3 mana, 1 a green and a white for a 3/3 legendary human ranger. Whenever the ring tempts you, I hate this mechanic. If you chose a creature other than Aragorn, Company Leader, as your ring bearer, put your choice of a counter from among First Strike, Vigilance, Death Touch, and Lifelink on Aragorn. Wow. Whenever you put 1 or more counters on Aragorn, put 1 of each of those kinds of counters on up to 1 other target creature. Nice. Okay, so I like the flavor here. First of all, it makes perfect sense. It's kind of a leader that inspires the other people there to blah, blah, blah. You know, that makes some sense. But that's a lot of different counter types. Like Lifelink is good. First Strike is, all these are good, actually. Like Vigilance is underrated. Death Touch is always decent. And then you get to put, like, you know, a counter on something else. That's actually pretty good. But the ring has to tempt you. And, like, this doesn't make the ring tempt you. And usually when cards care about the ring tempting you, I like when they also make the ring tempt you. So they need to be self-contained in some way. But I'm just never going to play with this mechanic. You know what I mean? Even though this is kind of an interesting commander to build around, like a ring tempts you guy in Selesnya with a bunch of creatures, you know? And he's a pretty cheap commander to play, too. So, like, I could see him being all right if you want to brew around him. He's just not really, like, my cup of tea because I don't like this mechanic. But I'm still going to give him, like, a 4. Because I'll give him a 4.1. I'll give him a little bit of boost. I'll give him a 4.1 because I think that there is some, like, you know, there's some cool commander brew around stuff going on with this dude. But Next is, it's Wild Mongrel, everyone, from Torment Odyssey. Crap, I was close. It's same block. This is 2 mana, 1 and a green for a 2/2 Hound. It's actually a dog nowadays. Discard a card from your hand. Mongrel gets +1/+1 and becomes the color of your choice until end of turn. Doesn't look like much, right? Really important card. Do you see this, by the way? World Championship decks, World Championship decks, World Championship decks, World Championship decks. Friday Night Magic 2006 promo. Vintage Masters, you know, like there's a reason this card has such a pedigree. It's a dog, but either way, this card has quite the history, man. I wish I could give this the honorary 5. I guess I can. Was there ever a rule that says I can't give 2 cards the honorary 5 in the same day? This is really important in the Madness decks. From back when Madness was first introduced, Wild Mongrel was one of the key features of those decks. And sometimes it can hit for like 8 in a turn. It's not unheard of. As a matter of fact, it's heard of constantly, all the time. So this is a slick Magic card that they've actually produced several callbacks to over the years that are in some ways strictly better. So, you know, it's been sort of outpaced in terms of power creep. It's still kind of a card that's in a lot of players' hearts. So 5. I'm just going to throw a 5 on it, Daddy-O. Why not? I think it definitely deserves it, man. But next is, I miss the dog. But next is Nivemizit Visionary. The question when seeing a Nivemizit is, which one is this? This is the one from Foundations. 6 mana, 4 a blue and a red for a 5/5 legendary Drago wizard with flying. You have no maximum hand size. Thanks for the Reliquary Tower. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you draw that many cards. What a good guy, man. All the Nivemizits are cool. You know, they all care about burn damage in some way. They all draw cards in another way, right? Or maybe if you do burn damage, you draw cards like this dude. Maybe if you draw cards, you do burn damage, and maybe they go infinite with each other. It's just sick. I love all the Nivemizits, dude. This dude is my dog. Like, even more than Wild Mongrel, which is an actual dog. This guy is my dog. So basically, anytime I see a Nivemizit, I'm going to pop for it. Even if it costs 6 mana, I still think this is a pretty slick card. $6 right now from Foundations in its absolute cheapest iteration. If you want this one with the fancy art, it's apparently $80, which is no. No thanks, man. But still, dude, this is $6 for a reason. It's going to go in a ton of Commander decks for sure. And it could just be the general if you want it to be. You know, if you just buy the Foundations kit and this is like your first Commander, I think you're actually going to have a pretty good time of it, so long as people are nice to you. But this I'll actually give like a 6.2. I think that there's a lot of ways you could build your deck around this, whether it's in the 99 or it's in the Command Zone. There's so many cool things. Drawing cards is good. I don't know. Maybe you're new to Magic. You need some help in that direction. Drawing cards is like the best thing you can do, so that's awesome. Next, I guess we'll look at Mary Reed and Anne Bonny over here. This is the normal-looking version of it. 3 mana, 1 a blue and a red for a 3/3 legendary human assassin pirate. It'll cost you around $1. It's got haste. You tap it, you draw a card, and then discard a card. Whenever you discard an island, pirate, or vehicle, you create a tapped treasure token. Okay, so can tap for a tapped treasure token the turn it comes into play. I guess that's cool. It can also loot the turn it comes into play. You can swing the turn it comes into play. It's a decent little pirate here that also happens to be an assassin, so it does work for any of those assassins decks that the set it's in sort of made more possible. I kind of like that about the Assassin's Creed set. You know, a lot of people didn't really care about it, and then other people just outright hated it. But all things considered, you know, Assassins has been a really cool creature type with very little support for like 30 years, and there's one good thing about that set. It gave support to that creature type. Altogether, it's a cool thing, man. It's not going to be too hard to discard any of those things, right? So unless you're in a really bad situation, you know, hand-wise, like a really awkward situation, then probably going to do something. Turn it comes into play. But none of this is too powerful, so I'm just going to give this a 4.6, somewhere around there. Again, I think that this is a lot of cool stuff, but it doesn't really amount to that much power at the end of the day, you know. But cool stuff, cool stuff. We'll look at Helm. Oh, it's Helm of Awakening. Next, from Visions. This will still cost you about, well, 70 cents from Dominaria Remastered here, so not a bad pickup. 2 mana for an artifact. All spells cost 1 generic mana less to play. So what that actually means is that spells cost 1 less to cast, including your opponent's spells. but I don't know. They'll be happy that you played this at the very least. This, if you can take advantage of it on the turn that you play it, can be really good. And that's easy enough in Commander, where you play it on like turn 5, and then it allows you to double or triple spell from there, depending on how much mana and cards you have or whatever. So really cool. Goes very well in Oops All Colorless decks, obviously, because in some cases it'll just let you drop a bunch of cards for free, or extremely reduce. Your 2 mana artifacts now cost 1. That's insane. So often that means that, Fellwar Stones, Arcane Signets, Talismans, whatever, regular Signets will effectively generate, neutral mana when you cast them. You just tap them immediately and cast something else. So Helm can be a really powerful card in the right deck, despite the fact that it's symmetrical. And again, you might get a little bit of love from the other players. It might leave you alone a little bit, so long as, they realize, oh wait, I want to keep that around, and that means I want to keep you around, bud. We're best friends. But still, I don't mind that Helm is symmetrical, and some other decks won't mind either, like Turbo Fog and Pillow Fort and stuff like that. May be able to set up Realm of Defenses to where they don't have to care as much about what other people are doing. Right, so this goes in a few different decks, and honestly, it's just good acceleration in a lot of decks. If you've never tried it, try it. It's like a 7, man. This really is. This is a powerful Magic card. It really is. Give it a shot. Next is Knight of Dusk's Shadow from Dominaria United. 2 mana, 1 and a black for a 2/2 human knight. I was going to say blue for some reason. 2 mana for a 2/2 human knight with menace. Your opponents cannot gain life. You also can pay 2 mana and have this get +1/+1 till end of turn. Remember when black creatures could pump? Standard does too. We got this Misery Shadow and a bunch of like draftable creatures and stuff. It's not like it went away. So in any case, we used to have good creatures that pumped. I guess we still do. But this is actually a fine dude in Commander. If you don't want your opponents gaining life, if you're in the right kind of pod, or if there's just, enough incidental life gain that you think you could probably fit this card, then I don't think it's half bad. And obviously we've seen it in sideboards of standard decks from time to time throughout, its standard playability. It doesn't pop up too much anymore, but there have been times where this has been sideboard playable. So I will give Knight of Dusk Shadow, I'll give it a 5. I will. I kept questioning myself, am I really going to do that? Yeah. I think your opponents can't gain life just is a good ability. In a lot of pods, actually. I think a lot of people would be surprised how much life they're trying to gain without realizing it. Oh yeah, this effect just gains me life. Oh yeah, this effect gains me life too. Oh yeah, this one does too. Huh. I'm really annoyed by that card, actually. I think it's actually pretty good. But next is, it's Marble Diamond, originally printed in Mirage, of course. What do you give these? I see Marble Diamond's the one that, they're all the diamonds are 2 mana. They interplay tap their artifacts, and they tap for their respective color. In this case, I guess Marble produces white, so it taps for white. This is still $1.61 from Mirage, but you can get it for as low as like 20 cents or 10 cents even from Commander Legends. So I see these in a lot of budget Commander decks on YouTube, but I'm not really sure that these are playable. I'm always confused when I do see them because, between Arcane Signet, which is budget, and Talismans, and again, regular Signets, and Fellwar Stone, which is budget, Mind Stone, Thought Vessel, which is budget, again, if you want to play 2 mana rocks, I just think you've got better options for the most part. And some of those don't even produce, colored mana. And I think might be better options for the most part for your Commander decks, unless you're the kind of deck that just wants, 25 rocks or something like that. Then I don't really see these anymore being super viable. But they are cards that have a special place in my heart. I played a lot of diamonds on the kitchen table back when I was 12 years old, literally, because we ain't got the money for moxes. You know what I mean? But marbles were diamonds rather were fine cards back when. It was just me and the boys on the kitchen table playing cards that were no more than a buck or two, but I guess when I play Magic, it's kind of still like that. to be perfectly honest, I still enjoy my paper Magic experiences, but I have to give diamonds a 3.9, something like that. As much as I love them and as much as I love Mirage, we have to be honest with ourselves. And if you're playing a 2 mana rock, I just think you have better options. You really do. But next is Grave Shifter, a card that we've done before, so I don't feel like I have to do it before. It's just Grave Digger, but with Changeling. That's the whole shtick here. It's kind of cool. But our actual last card of the day is going to be Hobgoblin Bandit Lord. This is a pretty good guy. 3 mana, 1 and 2 red for a 2/3 Goblin Rogue. Other goblins you control get +1/+1. Pay a red and tap him. Hobgoblin Bandit Lord. HBL deals damage equal to the number of goblins that entered the battlefield under your control this turn to any target. So a lot of cool ways to mess around with this, empty the warrens and any other kind of, effect that'll produce a ton of goblins all at one time. I think there's an X spell or two that may aid you in that. But it's not just empty the warrens, I think there's just goblin warrens too. If you have enough mana, it can produce a ton of goblins all at one time. So that's nice. And along with your goblin bombardments and stuff like that, it doesn't care how many are in play right now. It cares how many entered. So you can have a bunch enter through token effects or whatever, through Krinko, for instance. This goes obviously really well with Krinko. And then, right, just sacrifice them all to a bombardment, bang, 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 and then you'll tap your Hobgoblin Bandit Lord and dome somebody for 10. It's just a lot of fun. And it's an anthem effect too. So there's a reason that this is like $4 in its lowest cost, iteration. It's a really good goblin card. And good goblin cards are at a premium. There's a lot of goblin cards. The good ones, those are the ones that are important. So I'm going to give this a 6. Yeah. Obviously it's super specialized, but in the Goblins decks, it's almost kind of like a must slot card in a lot of ways. So might actually be more than a 6 to you if you're really partial to Goblins, but that's my score. That's my score and I'm sticking to it. And that is the final card of the day, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.